Hey guys, Jason. And today I want to talk about Quarkcoin. Now, normally I wouldn't do 3 videos about an alternate currency coin, at least not if it's getting a lot of attention. But as you guys know, Quarkcoin is getting a lot of attention. I think my last video I posted like 5 days ago has 2,500 views already. So obviously there's a demand for information about this coin, so I thought I'd kind of, fill some people in. Now, I just recently did a video talking about what is a pre-mine and kind of defined and you kind of gave examples of how a pre-coin operates, or pre-mine coin I guess is the better example. And so a lot of people have asked me, is Quarkcoin pre-mined, or if it's not, aren't the early developers just having a lot of coins and, just a lot of confusion. So I thought I'd kind of break this coin down and kind of explain stuff in layman's terms for you guys. Sorry. And so we're going to start back to when Quarkcoin was invented. Now, I can't really find too much information about the developer, which does scare me a little bit, but I think the people told me his name was Mark something. And so if you go back, I think it's like 5.5 months old. But one of the big controversies about this coin is the fact that it literally has like 245 million coins. And I did a video where I talked about, how I don't think that's really that bad. I think it's more of an experiment, and we'll just have to see whether that's successful or not. But a lot of people are worried that some of the very original people have loads and loads of this coin. And that worries people, that if a very few hold a whole bunch of amount of coins. Now, in the discussion, people have compared it back to Bitcoin, which is kind of true. Bitcoin back in the day was Satoshi. He had 18 computers mining Bitcoins. And a lot of people don't know that. He had 18 computers mining Bitcoins. And each Bitcoin would be a different block address, usually. So every, 50 Bitcoins rewards, he'd just do to a new address. And it took, I think 3 or 4 months before even, anyone got into the Bitcoin project. And even those people that got in, 6 or 7 months after, Satoshi, still are very, very fortunate. I know people have like 20, 30,000 Bitcoins, which today is worth like 20, 30 million, which is a lot of money. So people say, that Quarkcoin is just a copy of that. In a way it is, and in a way it's not. Quarkcoin, the idea was that in the first 6 months, all the coins would be released in a very, very quick timeline. That way, people weren't spending a long time, mining these coins and mining the blocks. Now, I'm not going to give my personal opinion on my, ethics and, moral obligation, whether I think that's right or wrong, but you'll have to kind of investigate on your own and determine whether you agree with the idea that all the coins should be mined at the beginning of a coin stage, or whether you think they should be mined at the end of a coin stage. Kind of like Bitcoin, where it's a slow progress as you get more coins, where Quarkcoin's more of, you start out very quick and then, all the coins within the first 6 months are mined, with I think it's 2 or 3 Quarkcoins every block being produced later on. So people say, well, is this coin, then I think, some of the original developers must have a lot of these coins in, if that's the case, because a lot of times these altcoins take, months before anyone really picks up on them. So I go back to the issue of that it wasn't, this is really the issue a lot of people have. The coin wasn't, pre-announced. If you hear about coins like PrimeCoin, it was announced like 5 days before it was released. Quarkcoin, I think it was like a day. They didn't give a very good amount of time for miners to kind of investigate the coin before the code and the Genesis block was created. Now, one of the issues is that at the beginning, when these were launched and they launched the source codes for these clients, that not all of them were perfect. And this is another key issue. Coins like PrimeCoin, there was no problems with the launchers and stuff. With Quarkcoin, the Linux version of the launcher, I'm told by a forum post, I can't verify this on my own, but that they were having issues, so that the Windows client users were actually having a better chance of mining. This is an issue I think the developers probably should have tested before releasing the coin, but it's already released, so I can't really do too much about that. But now I gotta get to the point of people saying, well, the developers must have a lot of these coins, now that I have a basic understanding of how this coin got started. Now, this goes into the whole Bill Still movement and the Kaiser Report movement. And this I'm still a little fluffy on, because I've heard reports that the Kaiser Report and the guy that runs it is trying to pump and dump this coin. I can't verify that. I wish I could. But some of the ideas behind it is that, these original people have all these coins. And that's not completely true. If you watch all the other altcoins, you'll notice, and Feathercoin is a great example of this. When these altcoins have never before been able to be traded, so they hit an exchange and you see a huge sell-off. a lot of people want to get rid of these coins because they're not sure if it's going to ever have value again. And usually the first week that hits the exchange, it's worth a lot of money. Take any of the coins, you can look at it, the first week it hit the exchange, and it's usually, the tier 1 or tier 2 exchanges, they do very exceptionally well. Like Feathercoin, it had a huge value, and it's constantly been coming down over time. Now, I know here recently Feathercoin has kind of jumped up a little bit. We'll have to wait and see where that goes. But with Quarkcoin, you kind of had the same reaction. It hit the markets, the exchanges, and it sold off really quick. Now, this is an issue I looked into, I've been talking to some people about, and you look at the trade volume. Quarkcoin has a trade volume of about 110, I think it's like million coins. So you can kind of tell that about half the Quark coins ever produced have been traded. Now, there's an issue with that. I can't verify that, it's not someone that, sells off, at 5 cents, say, and then buys back at 1 cent and then resells at 3 cents. You can't verify that. You just got a total volume of coins traded. But it kind of gives you an emphasis on how many coins in the general facility, have been sold and have been traded. So with those numbers present, I can predict that about half the coins have been traded. Now, the argument by the Quarkcoin community is that those that hold the coins are now what they call the tier 2 group. And their, defense of this whole argument is that the people that originally mined Quarkcoin had the Quark coins, and then Bill Still got into the market with, somewhat, repercussions by the Kaiser report, and they kind of, this group 2 that followed Bill Still didn't really even know about Bitcoin. Now that I can't verify, but that's the argument, that they didn't know about Bitcoin. And so that, Bill Still was telling these people, go invest in Quarkcoin, it's going to be a good coin. So these people go in, and that's where I'm going to look confused, because they would have to buy Bitcoin to get into Quarkcoin, or they would have to mine. And since the argument is they didn't mine, they had to buy from the original, miners. So that's a little shady part. I'm assuming they probably heard about Quarkcoin, then researched Bitcoin, bought their Bitcoins, and traded them for Quarkcoins to buy from the investors that, firstly mined Quarkcoin. But I can't verify that issue, but that's the argument. So the argument is a lot of the original investors only have, a small portion of the coins that they mined, because they sold off to not only, when they hit the exchanges and over the exchange, time on volume, but that they as well sold to group 2, those people who follow Bill Still. That still raises the issue of where the other, say, 75 million coins are at. We really don't know. Those could be, dividended up to people. Those could be sold, through private transactions, or sold on other exchanges where the volume charts aren't as accurate as some of the more newer, more efficient exchanges. So we really don't know. I always see people throwing around 20, 30,000, 50,000 of these Quark coins for, making I think there's like 100,000 Quark coin thing for just making a logo for Quarkcoin. So, you got to realize these coins have very low value because there's so many of them. So, it kind of messes that whole, scheme of it, because when you try to compare it to Bitcoin, it doesn't necessarily work perfectly. But I just kind of want to do a video, kind of break down all the points, the arguments from, the one side to the other, explain, that they aren't really necessarily a pre-mine, although their launch could have been a little bit better. I went through and I talked about how, there's argument that the original investors sold off almost half their coins, if not traded through private transactions. And that's another point I want to make real quick, that, you don't know, like my friend Dalton invests in Bitcoin. Me and Dalton could have had an agreement where I gave him 20,000 Quark coins I mined for him to trade me a Bitcoin, and that transaction isn't logged, and no one knows where that transaction ever occurred. And then you don't know who's that the shift in ownership of those coins actually did shift. So there's just too much questions, I guess, is the good point to make. Although we do know about half the coins have been traded through just one exchange. I'm sure if it hits, a lot of times investors wait till it hits like BTC-E to sell their coins. So that's another unpredictable movement. But I think reasonably we can say about half the coins have been, traded, and that miners hold less than they do now. Although I do have still skepticism. I have people email me all the time asking me these questions. This is, again, just the arguments made by both sides and some historical data from the coin itself, as well as some, inference for myself on, how this all went and took place. We'll know more as more data comes out and more people come forward talking about these coins. But I know a lot of people have been asking me about Quarkcoin, and I kind of wanted to do a video just for those of you guys that don't really do intensive research, that kind of want just a brief history and explanation. So I hope I helped you out. Have a great day.